video, I will cover week 2 of English 3140 online. Your job this week is to begin reading the textbook, research online resources where technical information is communicated visually, decide on a technical communication challenge, and write a 250-word essay in your Google Doc journal describing your area of research and the technical communication challenge that you want to undertake. Consider what it means to communicate in a work-related context. How do you communicate persuasively with readers and audiences in mind? How do you communicate ethically? These are all important issues that successful technical communicators must be aware of. They also apply equally to both written and visual communication. As you read, think about how you will adapt the theory from a text-based scenario to an online visual media one. The way you have been trained to write and communicate in school often focuses on showing your professor what you have learned. When you submit a lab report or take an exam, you're supposed to document that you have learned what the curriculum expects of you. Communicating at work, on the other hand, adds several new complexities to the process. For one thing, it requires that you are aware of security and legal liability of your communication, that you understand how what you produce may be viewed and used by anyone, anywhere, indefinitely. This is certainly true for anything you publish online. Your communication must also typically achieve very specific job goals and must address a variety of viewers who may have considerably different perspectives from your own. Lastly, you will be working with many more media genres than you may have experienced in school. Research has shown that professional organizations value certain communication skills above all others. Accuracy, clarity, conciseness, readability, usability, and correctness. In visual media context, there are many more variables in play, in addition to text, which is mostly what you need to worry about in traditional print-based communication. You must now ensure that your photos, social media missives, websites, and videos also conform to these expectations. When moving from an academic to a workplace context, therefore, you must be acutely aware that you will no longer mainly communicate to show what you know. Instead, you communicate to achieve desired outcomes. To be rhetorical in your professional communication means that you must appeal to your audience's needs, and through your textual and visual arguments, persuade them to take the actions that you want. A case in point may be an instructional video on how to change a broken cell phone screen. If you focus too much on the technical side of things, using language and visuals that your intended audience may not fully comprehend, you could end up confusing them to the point where they end up breaking the new screen they are trying to install. Technical communicators often adopt a 6-step process to guide their work. This process also applies to media creation, but how you actually perform each step will vary depending on the medium and the tool you are using. Let us break this down. Begin by analyzing the rhetorical situation so that you understand exactly why you need to communicate and what you need to achieve with your communication. Professional communication is not simply about compiling information about a subject. It needs to have a clear rhetorical goal. Next, you must research and choose content for your communication based on your purpose and what your readers need to know. Keep your purpose first and foremost in your mind as you research your communication challenge. The research will continue through the entire creation and project process. Arrangement of the content that you select is important for the rhetorical effectiveness of your communication. You need to decide the order in which to present your points and how to use research, visual, and oral arguments to back up your claims and recommendations. Drafting, or crafting as I call it here, is the stage where you begin to actually craft and formulate the content of your communication. There is no right way to craft, and how you do it largely depends on the medium. The main point about crafting is not to get bogged down in technicalities. Just work through the first version of your media artifact with the simple goal of getting across your ideas and main points. Revision is the next stage of the process. If you consider that creating something is actually a way of thinking deeply about your subject matter, then you will realize the need to revise your thoughts as you gain more insight through crafting and ongoing research. In the revising stage, you will also begin to consider elements such as completeness, style, visuals, and design. As part of the revision process, it can also be helpful to share your work with others to get their perspectives and insights. The final part of the process is editing and publishing. This is where you polish everything up and make sure that your media artifact is free of errors and other issues. We shall return to this point later on. As you begin to research a technical communication challenge, approach it with what I have just talked about in mind. You're faced with a rhetorical situation, and your job is to persuade your viewers to take desired actions in response to your communication. You should feel free to choose a topic that interests you, but please ensure that your project is of the appropriate complexity, since you have restrictions on the length and scope of your media artifacts. For example, creating an information project about green energy is probably too complex in this course. Creating a visual guide on how to tie a tie may be manageable, but perhaps not too exciting. You get the picture. Be creative and choose a communications challenge that you care about and that you want to influence others with. Thanks for watching and good luck.